Well, hello, everyone, and welcome back to the medical equipment world and healthcare. Get the scoop, the podcast where we break down durable medical equipment, patient care, and real world solutions for caregivers, families, and healthcare professionals. I am your host, Tara. I am your certified medical equipment specialist, and I am the co owner of CFS Medical Supplies and Equipment, CFS Solutions. And whether you're new to DME or a seasoned provider, this show is here to give you insight, tools, and stories that matter. We always give a quick disclaimer. The information shared in this podcast is for educational and informational purposes only, and it's not intended as medical advice. Always consult with a specialist or healthcare professional regarding any medical decisions or concerns. Neither the host nor guests assume liability for actions taken based on content discussed in this episode. And you guys always know I say any other episodes. So there we go. And today, you guys, we're back with the wonderful Miss Katalin. And I am so excited to have Miss Katalin on today. You guys, we have her back on actually because we're going to be talking about long-term care insurance. And this is one that I have been like itching to find out more information about it because you hear it on the surface. I deal with families that have, they either have it long-term care, or some of them I'll ask them if they have it and they don't have it. And some of them are like, well, what is it? And so we just want to find out and talk to this great Katalin and get all her information. And she's going to be sharing with us today. I'm going to be asking her questions and we're just going to have a full-on conversation so that we can all learn about long-term care insurance and how it works and what to look for, all that together. Okay. And right now, I'm going to read Katalin's bio. Katalin, did you have anything to say? I'm just talking all fast and everything, but welcome.
No, go ahead.
It's so glad. I'm so glad because I know you're busy. And so I'm just so happy that you took time out of your day to spend it here with the medical equipment world and healthcare. Get the scoop. So, all right. So I'm going to go ahead and read her a bio. So, Katalin, you know I'm gonna mess up I'm gonna mess up a name, so I'm gonna let you say your last name. Is it Gauntz?
Guns.
Oh, okay. I did good then. Okay, so you are the founder of O&K Consulting and is a certified insurance consultant licensed by the state of Connecticut, New York, and Virginia. She has been working in the healthcare all her life. Katalin started her career as a trauma nurse in Hungary, and the U and she in the U.S. she provided direct patient care in nursing home settings as well as private nursing. In the late 1990s, well, I just messed that up. In 1990, she has focused her career on the financial aspect of medical care. She has acquired extensive knowledge of commercial and Medicare insurance procedures, rules, and regulations. Presently runs her own company, Med Bills Assist, helping individuals and families whom are struggling with medical bills. She has also assisted people better understand their insurance policies and Medicare. Welcome again, Katalin. We are happy to have you. Thank you. Thank you for joining us. So, Miss
I love your energy.
well, you know what? I love doing this because I love finding out. I learn something new every single time I do an episode or interview someone. I don't care what it is, who it is. I take something away from it every single time. And it's great because when I'm talking to families, I'm able to share that information to make things just a little bit more easier. Because as we know, healthcare is it's a process, it's a journey, and a lot of times families just don't know they get thrown into this. You know, I was just talking to a gentleman not too long ago, actually this morning, and he was just saying, I just kind of like got thrown into this, and he's a doctor, but like he just said, this is different for me. He's a surgeon,
Yeah,
but he says I'm an orthopedic surgeon, but this is still different for me, for his wife, So
yeah,
anything that we can share, any information, and you can be in the field and in the industry, but sometimes in certain areas you may not have any, you're not maybe not privy to. So that's why
right.
we do what we do. Yeah. So, so all right. So this episode is understanding long-term care insurance, what families need to know. So, Kevin, can you just share with us, the audience, your background and all these great things?
Okay, so I've been doing this 20 plus years,
Mhm.
and I always look at problems and questions. Client comes to me and say, my mom has long-term care insurance. We planning to hire a caregiver. Can you guide us? Can you help us through the process?
Mm-hmm.
Or, just a client calls and saying, my long-term care insurance doesn't want to pay. I don't know what's wrong. Can you help us?
Mm-hmm.
And naturally, I mean, it's insurance. It's a different kind of insurance.
Mm-hmm.
So I just had a conversation with one of my clients. Her mom is 101,
Oh, okay.
and she's been in an assisted living facility.
Mm.
And she just recently broke her hip,
No.
and she had surgery.
Mm-hmm.
And we going through this going back and forth with the facility, and she needs rehab and which rehab and all of that, and the different levels of care and the different concept of what is what.
Right.
So medical insurance pays for medical care
Mm-hmm.
when you need a hospital, when you break a hip, when you need surgery, when you need rehab.
Mm-hmm.
But once the rehab is done, you're pretty much on your own unless you have a long-term care insurance. Because the long-term care insurance is not medical insurance. It is an insurance what takes over once the medical stop paying, namely activities of daily living. Activities of daily living is like bathing and walking and eating and going to the bathroom. Those are activities of daily living.
Mm-hmm.
And the long-term care policy is helping people meeting those needs with some assistance.
Okay.
So you have the home care. A
Mm-hmm.
person can live in an assisted living facility. The person can live in a skilled nursing facility. There are some people who have a spouse at home, so that they stay home, but then the spouse is working, so there is an adult daycare in a lot of cities.
Mm-hmm.
So you can actually have your wife or your husband get picked up and taken to adult daycare, and then they there for a couple of hours and then they come home.
Mm-hmm.
So the caregiver actually gets a little break.
Okay.
So there are different levels and different things the long-term care policy covers. Um, so when you look at the policy, you want to look at what is it covered,
Mm-hmm.
what is it is covering, and how much it's covering. Um, just recently, a client in Florida, her mom was in a facility in Florida,
Mm-hmm.
and she decided to move her to New York. So now what happened is the Florida facility was cheaper than the place in New York.
Mm-hmm.
So now the previous time the assisted living facility was paid in full by the long-term care policy. In New York, she owes an extra $40 a day. So it's a lot of things. So the policy basically spell it out how much they're going to pay, how much they're going to pay for what service, what type of service. We call it the place of service because you can be home, you can be in a facility, and you can have different levels of care.
Mm-hmm.
And then it comes with a lot of policies have elimination period.
Oh.
Elimination period is kind of like a deductible of medical if you compare it. Um, your medical insurance, you have $1,000 deductible, it's your cost. In
Mm-hmm.
long-term care, the elimination period, the deductible is in days. So
Mm.
the policy can have 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, it depending. And that comes out of your own pocket.
Wow.
before the insurance kicks in.
And that's the long-term care insurance before the long-term care.
Yes, that's long-term care insurance.
Okay. And oh wow, that's interesting. So pretty much, so you talked about what is the long-term care insurance. So you kind of pretty much outlined what it is. What is the biggest challenge in getting initial approval for the long-term care insurance?
So what happens is, just like with any other insurance, you're gonna have to report
Hmm.
that I need services.
Okay.
And it's usually, you go to the doctor and the doctor says, well, you should be having a home care, or you should be going to an assisted living facility. Or sometimes people just say, I have a client who said, my present to my daughters is I'm going to go to an independent living facility so they don't have to worry about me all the time.
Hmm.
So then a person needs to be evaluated, saying what is the kind of care they need.
Right.
And the long-term care policy spells it out. You need to meet two ADLs or three ADLs.
Hmm.
So I have a client in Texas who's in a wheelchair. So she needs assistance getting dressed,
Hmm.
taking a shower or a bath,
Hmm.
um, some moving around.
Hmm.
So she's meeting three activities of daily living requirements.
Hmm.
She's doing great. She's wonderful, but she does need help in, getting in the shower and taking a shower and getting out and getting back on the wheelchair and, all of those things.
Wow.
So you talk to the doctor and the doctor said yes, you need it, and then you contact the insurance company and say, I want to start my long-term care policy.
Hmm.
What happens next is they usually have a nurse who comes out or do video chat
Hmm.
to evaluate the patient,
Right.
what their needs are.
Hmm.
And I always tell my clients,
Hmm.
don't be brave on these interviews. Be helpless.
Oh wow. Oh.
So you need to be, don't say, I can stand on my tippy toes, because that's not going to help you.
Right, right,
Tell,
right.
tell the nurse that I need help getting up from bed.
Yeah.
Tell the nurse I need help getting in the shower.
Hmm.
So, it's kind of like, don't understate your needs. If
Exactly.
anything, overstate the
Hmm.
help what you needed.
Okay.
And usually after the nurse evaluation, the nurse send in the report to the insurance, and then the insurance comes back with a letter stating we approved you or didn't approve you.
Wow. That's interesting because if you're paying in, well, I guess it's like the insurance we pay into now, the healthcare insurance. So
Mm-hmm.
you're paying into long-term care insurance. It's a volunteer thing that you're doing for many years, right? That
Mm-hmm.
you're into. So now you need this service, and now you're able to tap into it if you're going to be into an assisted living, or if you're at home and you need that extra in-home care service. It could be paid with through that long-term care insurance, but it needs to be approved also.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's important to say because I know that I had a few clients, and when I started getting into the long-term care insurance, I was like, "Hey, do you have long-term care insurance?" And one lady told me, she says, "Tara, I actually do have long-term care insurance." I was like, "Well, check and see if they'll pay for this chair for you." And she checked. She had had it for 10 years, and she had purchased about four chairs from other people that didn't do a clinical assessment with her. And come to find out, she was like, "Oh my God, Tara, I spent all this money all this time, and I never knew that my long-term care insurance would pay for the chair. So she ended up calling them and calling. She told me, she says, yeah, they're going to pay for this one of the chairs for me. I was like, well, good. So they're going to reimburse her is what was.
Hmm.
I thought that was
Yeah.
so awesome, but she didn't know she had been paying for it for what, 20 years, I think she told me. It was crazy. And she had about $10,000 there that was towards her medical equipment, but she wasn't
Hmm.
aware of it. And so now I try to ask people like, do you have long-term care insurance? And some people are like, oh, I do. And they don't even know that they can use it for that purpose. Of course, that you need to receive. There it's a process like you just mentioned,
Right.
but a lot of people don't know. What would you say about how soon do people need to get long-term care insurance? Because I tell you for myself, I'm thinking like, Tara, you need to get long-term care insurance. Like you need to have that because I know insurance, of course, health insurance is number one for us, but the long-term care insurance too is definitely a great. I think it's a great benefit too, especially when you as you get older and needs extra care.
Well, the younger you are, the cheaper the insurance.
Yes, yes,
The older you get, the more they're going to charge you for the insurance.
yeah.
And then if a person have a medical condition, a chronic medical condition, it's unlikely that anybody will sell a long-term care insurance.
Right. So get it, basically get it when you're young.
Get it before you need it.
Yes. Yes. And the thing of it is age doesn't matter. I mean, we've had patients who's 50, 30, 40, there is no age limit to when. I'm thinking anything over 18. I know people are like, oh, why would I need that? But it just, I just basically seeing what we see on the ground, you want to get long-term care insurance. Yeah, because you just never know when you're going to need it. It's good to have. And a lot of families say like, oh no, I didn't have it. No, my mom didn't have it. And I'm like, okay. And they was like, man, maybe she should have had it. I'm like, yeah, but now it's too late because you're
Right.
older now. So now it would be so costly. There's no way you could, I'm not gonna say you can't get it, but it would be so expensive, so expensive. So what do you
Yep.
say navigating the claims process when it comes step by step overview of how this works with the long-term care insurance?
So once the insurance is approved, I mean, once the care approved,
Hmm.
then it's just a question of filing claims.
Okay. So do you have to have the receipts to send in with your so just an example, say if someone's in an assisted living or they have caregivers in the home, they would reach out, would they take the receipts that they're paying out of pocket or do the insurance pay that facility or pay that agency direct?
Okay, so it's kind of going in all over in the place
Mm-hmm.
because it depending.
Okay.
Some, so when the insurance approve the actual care,
Mm-hmm.
they need to approve the provider.
Yeah.
So if you are having a home health agency,
Mm-hmm.
the insurance needs to approve that home health agency. And depending on your state where you are doing this, the agency has to be approved by the state. Or a facility needs to be a state approved facility. Or if you are hiring a private home health aide, that home health aide needs to have a certificate. Um, so I have a funny story. I had a client with Parkinson's,
Mm-hmm.
and he just called me out of the blue, and he said that I have Parkinson's and I have a young man. He used to be a hockey player,
Mm, okay.
but he comes and takes care of me,
Mm-hmm.
and he's wonderful. But my insurance doesn't want to pay. So I looked into it and I said, your insurance doesn't pay because your caregiver doesn't have a license.
Right.
So what we need to do, we need to send him to school to become a certified nurse's aide, and then your insurance will pay.
Wow.
So young man went to school.
So he went.
The client paid for his schooling. He got his certificate, and then I filed the claims, and everything got paid.
Now, see, now that's the kind of information people need to know about, right? So who would have
So
known that? That's awesome.
you kind of like, l- my way of doing it is I listen to the client. I
Yeah.
listen to what they have to say, what their problem is, and then I work with that. I have my client in Texas. Her long-term care insurance actually went into conservatorship, and they wanted to terminate the insurance for everybody in the group. And the state of Pennsylvania said no. So it went to court,
Mhm.
and they reworked the policy to make it financially feasible for the company to continue on the policy. And we kind of had to work through all of that. And, it changed names and ownership and a whole everything.
Oh,
But we went through the process, and her claims are getting paid. My problem on her side is the opposite, because the agency who's providing the care is not filling up the paperwork correctly. It's missing a number one on the, you put in a policy number. The
yeah.
policy number is whatever, 556622.
Hmm.
If you don't put in a correct policy number, they don't have a way, or they're not going to associate the claim with the policy.
Exactly.
So whenever they send me the paperwork, I always have to look at it. I always have to fix the numbers. And
Wow.
then I have to look through the rest of it, and then fix whatever is not right. It's just a whole bunch of silly stuff.
Yeah.
Um, they were filing their own forms, right? And then I had to fix it to send it to the insurance. Then I convinced them to use the insurance form to
Yeah.
put in the information.
Hmm.
And then that was going fine for a while. And then she decided this year, the caregiver, that they're going to use their own form. So they called the insurance company. Insurance company says, okay, you can do that. But now the new forms, they keep making little mistakes. And every time you make a mistake on paperwork,
Right.
the insurance puts it back in.
Yeah.
And then I get a call. They didn't pay. I said, okay, let me look. Because, I don't pick up every single little mistake. This particular insurance company, if you put in the wrong date,
Yeah. I
if you put in February 1st, you had care services, and second and third, and the date on the bottom is February 1st, the insurance will reject it because it should have been signed on the 3rd. I
yeah.
mean, these kind of details.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of extra follow-up if things don't go right.
Right.
And then you have facilities who actually willing to file the claim for the client.
Hmm.
So that's good, but sometimes they forget to file it. Or a person who's filing it gets another job, no longer works there. So things get dropped off. And then a client comes back to me to say, what's going on? I haven't been getting paid. So I look into that. So the bottom line is whoever is filing the claim
Hmm.
needs to have a tickler. I
Hmm.
filed the claim, insurance pays in 30 days,
Hmm.
put it on your calendar, check back in 30 days.
Hmm.
Make sure everything is right.
Hmm.
Because that's how you get a denial, a rejection, a payment. Don't assume it's going to work all the time. My client in Florida who moved to New York,
Mhm.
the New York, I used to file her claims. The New York facility, they decided they're going to file it themselves. And the daughter says, okay, they're filing it, but I need you to keep an eye on it. So I'm the 3 week stickler.
Oh, the tickler. Love the ticklers. We love
So I put,
ticklers.
yeah, I put everything in my calendar to make sure that, things are paying as they supposed to.
Awesome. I love it. I love it. So basically the denial, so it's pretty much it sort of kind of works as like regular insurance where, deny. So if you get a denial, now once they approve you, do you see denials that people get and it's probably because of the paperwork's not properly done or what have you. Do you see where they'll approve something and then they deny it later? Do you see that?
No, actually, no.
Good, good.
No,
Wow.
it's really all about the paperwork.
Yeah.
If the paperwork is missing something, then the insurance will deny.
Right. Well, how long does it last? So how long, like for an insurance policy, if you get a policy and there's a certain limit, right? So an example, once you just say 10 years ago, I purchased a long-term care insurance and it may have a certain amount, right, that it covers. And then does it run out or how does that part work?
Okay, so it's depending on the policy a person buys.
Hmm.
Um, the older long-term care insurance policy, I had a number of clients who had unlimited policy.
Oh, wow.
So they just paid as long as they lived.
Oh.
And then there are policies what has a limit.
Mhm.
Um, they give you 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, and then the policy runs out.
Oh, so basically you need to ask questions before you purchase a policy, a long-term care
Yeah,
insurance.
you need to understand what you're buying. This client who used to live in Texas, she had a long-term care policy, and about 5, 6 years ago, she got into a car accident.
Hmm.
So she needed home care, and she used up 2 weeks of home care. They approved her,
Hmm.
and she used up 2 weeks of home care, but she has a 100-day elimination period. So now, back then, she said, I can't get anywhere with this insurance. They won't send me any information. I am so frustrated, but I know I have used it for 2 weeks. I paid for it, but they don't want to give me verification that I used up 2 weeks. So 14 days should be credited to my 100 days elimination period.
Hmm.
So she's actually a mom of a friend. So I just called and harassed the insurance company until they send out us a letter stating that they are putting in 14 days as meeting her 100 days elimination period. So 5 years later, when she went to a facility, independent living, she already had met 2 weeks of that.
Oh.
So now she didn't have a 100-day elimination period. She had 86 days,
Oh, and then,
but
so
she
what
had
happens after the
paid.
86 days? So now so if she would have got the unlimited type of policy,
No,
then
no,
it would
I'm talking about the elimination period, the
oh,
elimination, the deductible.
okay,
So
okay.
now she didn't have to meet 100 days because
Mhm.
she already used up 14 days. So
Okay.
they paid 86 days earlier.
Mhm.
They started to pay out.
Got it. Okay. Wow. Yeah, definitely need a Catalin. Yes, Katalin. Okay, so you guys heard it out there. Katalin is the specialist. Okay, this is above my pay grade. But oh my God, that is very interesting, Katalin. So basically, you definitely need to ask questions, understanding what you're getting when you purchase long-term care insurance and how does it work, your deductible, the days if you need it, and then you need to use it, years from now. How does all those things work? That is such great information because a lot of times people don't know. Like, I didn't know all that. Eh. I know. Had no clue. Had no clue. And so you just gave us some real world scenarios. And so that was really good. And so how many, what would you say a coordination with care, how long-term care insurance works with home care agencies, assisted facilities, medical equipment providers? And I think you kind of shared and talked about that, right? And then what is the average cost? So we talk about cost and coverage reality, what long-term care actually pays for versus what families expect, out-of-pocket considerations, duration of benefits, and limitations. I think we kind of touched on that a little bit. I don't know if you wanted to kind of go into that a little bit more deeper as far as what is the average cost that families will need to pay monthly to get long-term care insurance, and what is a good age that people should be looking to get in long-term care insurance. I know we don't have anything going on with us right now, but like you just said, she had an accident. Things happen. We never know.
I can't tell you about the cost. It's not cheap. I would say if you want to have long-term care insurance, you definitely want to get it before you turn 50.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, it's really depending on the insurance. I don't sell insurance. I
Yeah.
am a certified consultant. I'm not a broker.
Yeah.
So I
Okay.
don't sell insurance. It's people say it's very expensive. It can be, the younger you are, the cheaper the insurance is. The older you get, the higher they charge.
Hmm.
And I think in the long term, when long-term care insurance first came in, they were selling it and it was cheaper and had more benefits.
Hmm.
But as people age
Yeah.
and started to use the policies and they paying out, the cost shift and a bunch of long-term care insurance companies, they either went under or got purchased by another insurance company.
Wow.
I see it all the time that one day it's called this, and a year later it called something else, the insurance.
Hmm.
So, it's a lot of changes going along with that.
Yeah, that is very interesting too, because, and I could see how that could happen because if you think about, we talk about 10,000 people turning 65 every single day, right? And so when you think about the long-term care insurance, people are living longer and all these things, then if your average for an assisted living is what, about $5,000, $6,000 per month, that's an average. I'm sure maybe some out there, I don't know if someone's cheaper than that, but I know the ones that I've dealt with, that we deal with, there's an average starting point. And so if you think about them paying that type of money out every month, that is very expensive.
Yeah,
Very
it
expensive.
can get very expensive. I'm just looking at how much so she is in assisted living, and we're looking at seven, yeah, $7,000 a month,
Yeah. Wow.
assisted living.
Gosh. And that's unlimited. Her policy is unlimited.
Um,
Because what happens when you run out?
you don't know. The
Wow.
idea here is your policy should hold you over until you die.
If
I
you get
mean,
unlimited though, right?
uh,
If you limited.
status to say that, that's the goal, that you live longer. I mean, the policy is longer than the lifetime.
Yes. Ooh.
We just, that policy I was talking about, who was going bankrupt, they restructured the policies. They increased the premium and gave people options. And my client is 96
Yeah.
and she chose the paid up option.
Mhm.
So she has insurance for another 5 years.
Okay.
And after that, it's going to run out. But she doesn't have to pay premium.
Wow.
So that's another thing. A lot of long-term care policies,
Mhm.
in the terms, it says that once you activate the policy, start to use it,
Mhm.
they waive the premium. So you don't have to pay the premium once you activate the policy.
Right.
So the things flip.
Mhm.
You pay instead of you paying premium, they paying your expenses.
Exactly, exactly. And would you say that is it better to, so for an example, like the lady you just talked about earlier, where she used it for 2 weeks and then she needed it 5 years later, would you say that it's better if you can kind of not touch it? So if you need it for like, oh, so I need it for 2 weeks, is it best to try to do the best you can or see if you got family that can help out? So you save that policy for those 2 weeks or whatever you need it for in case you do need it down the line, or what would you say to that?
Well, I mean, it's really what your needs are.
Yeah,
Because if you need it, you need it.
yeah.
And then, people like you can activate it when you need care. So let's say a person falls, hurt themselves, and they need additional help for another 2, 3 months.
Mhm.
You go home from the house, from the rehab, and you need some help. So you activate the policy for 2 months until you get better.
Yeah,
And once you're better, you can discontinue it
yeah.
and then come back to it later when you need it again.
Right, right.
So it doesn't need to be used once it's activated. You can say, okay, the cares is finished. You can close my care period,
Yeah,
and then you still have the policy intact.
yeah. To hold on to it as long as you can. Goodness, it's a lot of moving pieces. It's a lot.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Oh, it sounds like I'm thinking healthcare is like healthcare is, the medical insurance is like so it's a lot. And this seems like it's double a lot.
But
Yeah.
think about it, Medicare. Medicare runs on a 30-60, 60-30-60, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
So you have 60 days hospitalization, and then um, if you are discharged within that 60 days, then you have 60 days to be hospital free, and then your 60-day benefit regain. But if you staying in the hospital, after the 60 days, your 30 days kicks in and you have I think, $247 daily copay.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then you have another, once you run out of the 90 days, then you have 60 days of lifetime reserve days, which you can use, but it's a one time only. So,
People need to
yeah,
call you, Catalin. Literally, people need to call you
jump into
because you.
Medicare a little bit. But basically, Medicare has a lot of moving pieces
Yes,
too.
it
People
does.
just don't fully
I
understand it.
know. Oh, yes, it does. It.
So long-term care is the same thing. It's everything, what's in the policy is what needs to be understood. How much you're willing to pay for unlimited coverage
Mhm.
versus get a 5-year policy. How many days you willing to pay in the elimination period? Elimination period is what you pay for care before the insurance kicks in.
Mhm.
Do you want it no elimination period? You willing to pay 30 days, 60 days? Because the premium is depending on all these things. It's like having auto insurance. When you have a deductible, if you have $1,000 deductible, a $1,200 repair is not gonna make much different for you, right? But
Yes.
if you have a $50,000 damage, then $1,000 is not gonna be a big deal.
Right.
So you need to understand your financial situation, your family situation, and then decide which is the best way to go.
Oh my gosh. Catalin, I tell you, I think that That's why we do these calls, because I feel like when things happen, you just have no one knows what to do. So just being able to understand like what we're this conversation we're having today is just so needed, because now people can say like, you know what, oh my god, I heard that conversation, and now, or I can call Catalin and get some information, because it's a lot. Just think about all that. You're trying to take care of your loved one and take care of yourself, and now you got to think of all these things, all these moving pieces, like what's covered, how long can I stay in the hospital, when do I need to be out of the hospital. We had a client call us, well, there's not a client yet, but they called us the other day, and they're up north, and they're trying to bring their loved one down here, but they're paying $400 per day right now. $400 per day where they are
For
in they're in Northern California, and they're trying to bring their loved one here so he can come down with the family. But in the process of that, they're trying to hurry up and get him down, because they're being charged 400 and some odd dollars per day. That's a lot of money.
yeah,
I'm like, oh my God. Yeah. So they're like, well, how soon can you get the equipment out to him and all these things and stuff? And so we're like, well, where is he going? But yeah, but they were saying like they're paying 400 something dollars a day. I'm like, that is so expensive. Like, who can afford that?
yeah,
Yeah.
it's expensive.
Yeah. Healthcare, man. It's whew. Oh my gosh. So let me see. Advice for families and caregivers. What to do before you need long-term care, key questions to ask when purchasing a policy, and what to do when a loved one suddenly needs care.
So we just really talked about it. Decide what kind of policy you want,
Yeah.
how much you can afford, because sometimes I had a teacher, a client as a teacher, and she had a husband who had Lou Gehrig's disease,
Mhm.
and she said they didn't have long-term care. And she said, I'm working so I can pay the caregiver because I can't do it physically.
Yeah.
So she kept working so she can pay for her husband's caregiver. They didn't have long-term care policy. So it's really how much can you afford? Because, you know, if you look at it, the $400 a day, if you have a long-term care policy, and even if your policy pays 200, you still, it's more manageable.
Yeah, it is. It is. And it goes back to when people know they can kind of navigate the system a little bit better. Just understanding like what to ask, what to, how to go about it, and just understanding is it's so much, it's so many layers to it that it's overwhelming. It's totally,
And if you do need care or your loved one need care, call the insurance.
yeah.
Tell them, my mom needs care. What do I do next?
Yeah.
How do I proceed? What do you need me to give you?
Yeah.
Just don't be shy. Keep asking questions. And if you don't like the answer, ask it another way. I mean, my way of doing things, I don't give up and I don't take no for an answer.
Yes. You can't, well, you
And,
can't.
and take out the emotion. I know it's highly emotional
Mhm.
and people tend to get either upset or very just, you know, unhappy or angry, all kinds of emotions flowing.
Yeah.
Try to set aside the emotions because that doesn't help. You
Yes.
need to focus on process. It's kind of like getting in the car. You can be getting in the car pissed off because you're going to do something bad. So you need to keep your cool.
Yeah.
You need to focus on the process. What do I need to do next? What kind of paperwork you need? Do
Yeah.
you need the name of my doctor? When can we schedule an appointment? When is the nurse coming out? Just because once you start the process, they send you a pile of paperwork and you need to fill it out and you can't miss it. the thing is, once you get this paperwork, you need to look at the policy. Does the person needs the ADLs, the activities of daily living?
Yeah.
So you need to check the little boxes. Don't miss the boxes and make sure that you need help with mobility, with bathing, with dressing. So check all those little boxes because that's the decision what the insurance comes back to make. Sometimes I had a client who I basically helped the husband through the process of starting the policy. Once we had the policy in place, the facility was approved and activated, he took over. He didn't need me anymore.
Right.
So not everybody, wants me to keep in contact with them. We set it up. I helped him all the way. I held his hand. I told him what to do.
Mhm.
And then once everything was rolling, he didn't need me anymore. Probably the facility started to file claims and he had no problems.
Right.
So
Right.
if I can help somebody just to get moving,
Yes.
push that car so it starts to get
Yes,
into gear
exactly.
and
Because
roll
you need that.
around.
Get on the right track because and that is important too. And I think that a lot of times, families don't know that there is help out here that people can help you start the process because it is look, it is so many layers, it's so convoluted, it's so much that it is definitely worth having someone to go through and walk you through, hold your hand. And it's not because you don't know any, it's not because, oh, you don't understand, but it's a different language. We always talk about the insurance language, right?
Yeah.
Healthcare language. It's the you can be in this industry for a long time. You can have went through some stuff, but certain situations in some certain categories and areas, you might be like, oh my God, I didn't even know this happened. We get doctors all the time that they're in the field. They're doctors, they do what they do. But when it comes to this side of it, they're like, I don't have a clue. I had no clue that all this was going on. A lot of them don't. They like, so don't be afraid to ask for help and
Yeah.
don't be afraid to seek out help.
And
Yeah.
ask more questions. Now, as for the your area of expertise,
Hmm.
yeah, a lot of long-term care policies do cover durable medical equipment. So it is worth for looking into it because Medicare and regular medical insurance, they do have coverage for durable medical equipment too.
Hmm. Hmm.
But sometimes it's limited.
Very limited.
It's a good thing to combine if you have a long-term care policy. Combine the durable medical equipment with your medical insurance, and maybe you get paid for two wheelchairs instead of just one.
Or a better one. So basically, so how we see it, right? So when the insurance, like an example, your Medicare or your PPO, HMO, what have you, Advantage plan, they'll pay for the basics, right? So I'll give you an example, a basic wheelchair that sits vertical, they do reclining and of course complex rehab, but of course that's a whole different lane. There's a lot to
Right,
go into that. But if you just needed a regular chair, but just say your loved one because as the regular wheelchairs, you're sitting in vertical for 2 and 3 and 4 or 5 hours or more. It's not conducive for that, and that's another reason why you see patients that have lower back pain, they have wounds, all these things because it's not conducive for that. And again, it goes back to what's going on with them. That doesn't happen for everyone, but I'll give you an example. We have a Parkinson's patient and or Huntington's patient, and they're sliding, they're moving, they're uncomfortable, all these different things when we do the assessments, right? Well, a regular wheelchair is not conducive for them. It's just not
right,
comfortable, right? And so then we start talking about customized positioning and reclining chairs. Now, those chairs aren't covered by insurance. But what happens if you have long-term care insurance, then now you have that benefit if it's, the chair, because they are expensive, but that long-term care insurance can reimburse if you reach out and find out. Because I've had clients who use it for their beds. They've purchased because of course the basic beds are covered by insurance based on medical necessity, but they're the regular beds, semi, and the family's like, I need something more advanced. where they don't cover advanced beds, the long-term care beds. We like to say the high-low beds, which help patients. They go low enough to the ground so your loved one isn't falling out the bed, but it goes high enough that the caregiver isn't bent over and hurting their back and their arm with positioning, all of those things, right? Well, those beds aren't covered. They're expensive, but it could save you on caregivers. We've seen it because of the features and the functions of the bed. So it could
Mm-hmm.
save you. You may have
Yeah.
two caregivers in and out. Now you just need one because the bed is doing a lot of things, right? And again,
Right.
it goes by. Not, it's not conducive for everyone. It depends on what's going on with your loved one, right? What's going on diagnosis wise. And so those are the type of things we see. But what happened is that we have had families who purchase out of pocket, but they're able to turn that receipt in and get reimbursed from their long-term care insurance. So it
Mm-hmm.
just depends again, like you said, it depends on your policy. It depends on a bunch of different things that goes into it. But so like yeah, that but it does exist. If you have long-term care insurance, it's something to think about and to look into.
Thank you.
So yeah, so it's
Coffee.
definitely oh, you got coffee?
I got coffee.
Oh, so you got is that your hubby bringing you coffee? Awesome. Tell him hello.
You need a coffee too?
You know what? I have water. I had my rise earlier and it was so good. My rise coffee. So yes, but thank you. Thank you for
Uh,
asking.
She's
no
in
problem.
California.
Oh, it's too early for it for your next.
Oh yeah,
I
it's like,
see.
huh? What did he say?
He said he just said goodbye.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's so awesome. Yeah. So I was thinking like earlier, I need more coffee, but I'm like, okay, Tara, calm down, So, but this is a great conversation, Catalin. I always like talking to you and getting feedback and everything. I just think families really need to know. I interviewed two young ladies the other day were caregivers, and we were having a conversation about how critical it is for families to understand any information resources that they can pull from. It's awesome because that help you navigate the system better. It
Yeah,
really does. It
yeah.
really does. Yeah. So any last words that you want to share today and tell people how they can get a hold to you if they need help in understanding long-term care and all those things?
You have all my information.
Okay, yes, I do. I have it's the Alliance of Claims Assistance Professionals, and I will put the link in her. We'll do a blog, and that information, as the other interview we did, will be inside there and how they can reach out to you and get the information they need for the long-term care explanations and just being able to understand insurance totally. I think that's a great thing. Like you can explain to them everything when it comes to the insurance. So,
You see, that's another thing, just knowing,
yes.
because you have a policy, you have a policy, but you don't know how it works.
Yeah.
So reading the policy and understanding, it's my client in Tennessee, they send me an agreement with the facility
Mm-hmm.
because they needed to move the mom to a different place.
Mm-hmm.
So they just needed to understand how things work. So it's just by understanding what you're looking at is helpful.
Exactly. So
Yeah,
important.
your expectation, like the 90 days elimination period.
Yeah.
People get upset. I send in the claim and they didn't pay. Well, it's not they didn't pay. They processed it and they put it into your elimination period, which is a deductible. You have 100 days of that, so now 30 days went away.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
It's
So
just
people,
explaining, getting the frustration out.
oh my gosh, that and then like you mentioned earlier, being I know it's a lot, but when you call these places, you have to really set aside the anger.
Hmm.
Because my grandma used to say you can get honey, right? I think out of a rock or something, I don't know, but basically being nice and calm.
More bees with
Yes.
honey.
There it is. Exactly. And so basically, with that, in this industry, when you're calling places, you have to bring, and then sometimes I know it because you may get someone on the other end and they're not pleasant either. You still have to keep your composure and just say, I've got to get this for myself or my loved one. So let me just sit whatever anger or whatever I'm feeling to the side so I can get as much information as I possibly can get because people will help you if you call and you know what to ask and what to say, and they'll help. But anger isn't going to get you is not going to get you far, and that's so funny because when I worked with the apria, we would get some patients, they would call and they would be on fire, and I'd be like, now you just need to be a little bit more kind because no one's going to help you, or they're going to put you on hold and they're never going to come back, right? And because you've
Yeah.
been so mean to them. And so just try to, try. I know it's tough sometimes because you're going through so much. And but you just have to bring your kindness and your honey. Bring your honey, right? Because you need to bring your patience. You really do, because it's a process.
I just last week I we were chasing after a dental insurance for a client.
Oh my
He
God.
has a dental insurance, but we don't know what kind. And he got stuck in there. So, like, let's call them together because I don't have authorization. So I said, let's do a three-way call.
Yes.
We made the first phone call. The person didn't know anything and transferred us to someone else. That someone else started to talk to us, put us on hold, and disappeared. We called back again. We got another person who transferred us to somewhere else because we were in the right department. And then we got hung up again. So we called a third time. And this is all keeping my cool. I never got upset. I said, don't worry, James, we're just going to call again. So called the third time. We got to a really nice woman
Yeah.
and we had a long conversation. She walked us through all the little details and we got all the information we needed. But it took us an hour and took us three phone calls to
Yeah.
get there.
Yeah.
But sometimes that's what it takes.
What it takes sometimes. It takes days. We've had people say they've been calling for days, weeks. Now that is
I do have a trick in there. When I have to call multiple times and I got nowhere, I and they don't pick up the phone, I leave a message. Next day I call, I leave a polite message saying, this is my second call.
Mhm.
The day after I call again and say, this is my third call. And by the fourth time, I had a woman call me back. She said, I just moved my office. Everything is a mess because you called me so many times. I will go dig it out and give it to you.
Wow.
So don't give up.
Can't give up.
Just do, and if you don't understand what they're saying, tell them, I'm not understanding. Can you explain it to me?
Yeah. Yeah. And write it down. Write down what they're
Yeah,
telling you, or you can say, "Is it okay if I record this?" If you
yeah,
can't write it all down, ask them, "Is it okay if I record this conversation because I really need to understand, and I got a lot going on, and I just don't
yeah,
want to miss any points that you're telling me right now. Can I record it and put it on get you on a little recorder, or record it on your phone, or what have someone else record it, or what have you on your memos, so that way you have exactly what they're saying. Then you can go back and take your notes." So just covering all those bases and understanding all
yeah,
of that, and just knowing that it is a process, but know that you're not alone. That's what we want to say. You're not alone. There are companies out here to help you. ACAPS is amazing. Katalin knows her stuff. And if she's too busy and swamped, she has a team of other great ACAPS that can help step in, right, Katalin, that knows
yep.
as well. And so it's a great organization, you guys. So just know you're not alone. And any last words, Catalin, before we get off?
No, I'm all set.
Okay, so you guys can reach Katalin. I'm just going to say the phone number to reach Alliance of Claims Assistance Professionals is 888-394-5163. And the website is www.claims, that's CLAIMS.org. And again, you've heard it here today on the Medical Equipment World and Healthcare Get the Scoop. And it is sponsored by CFS Medical Supplies and Equipment, CFS Solutions Consulting, and we will see you guys on the next episode. And if you take anything away today, we hope that you got some information out of here that can bless you and your family. And again, we'll see you on the next episode. Goodbye.
Bye.